Well, everyone, it's time for us to go and take a look at the Google Pixel 10 and compare it against the Google Pixel 7 and see how these particular phones hold up as of this point. Now, clearly for the most part, if you're going to take a look at both of these types of devices, the Pixel 7 is probably going to be the one that's going to make a lot more sense to go and buy. The Pixel 10 is going to make a lot more sense to buy than the Pixel 7. So that's kind of one of the more important things to keep in mind here. Because if you are trying to go through and pick up a particular device, like I said before, it makes a lot more sense to go through and buy something like a Google Pixel 10 than a Pixel 7. So if you want to go through and pick up either one of these particular devices, links will be down in the description below. You can get them from there, and you can help support the channel at the exact same time. Now, starting off with the Google Pixel 7, this particular device ended up coming out back in 2022. And when this phone first came out, it was still like a really good phone. This was one of the major flagships from Google. And this phone on the front side was giving you a, what was it? It was like a 6.3 inch AMOLED display. And that right there, it was a pretty good display to have inside of a device like this, right? It was still able to give you a pretty good type of layout. It looks pretty good. However, it was only giving you 1400 nits of peak brightness, and it was only a 90 Hz display. And that was just like 3 years ago. Think about how much better displays have gotten, how much higher the refresh rates have gotten. Even the Pixel 9a nowadays has 120 Hz, and the Pixel 7, the major one from 2022, was only giving you 90 Hz, which is kind of crazy. Now, that 90 Hz display, I would say, still looks pretty good. There's not like too many issues or too many problems with it, but again, it isn't necessarily perfect, and you're definitely going to run into some problems and some issues here and there. Again, they're not major issues, but it's just not going to be as nice of a display as the current generation. The Pixel 10, on the other hand, is going to be giving you a 6.3 inch OLED display. So it's the same size technically, but it is an OLED this time. And this time it's going to be 3000 nits of peak brightness. So this right there is also another really cool thing to have here, because you're going to be able to go through and get the Google Pixel 10, and you're going to be getting a massively brighter panel, almost twice as bright or more than twice as bright as the Google Pixel 7. And on top of that, you're going to still maintain 120 Hz inside of that phone, and it's going to still look and feel like a really, really good phone when it comes down to it. So I will tell you from that personal side, it is a very cool thing to keep in mind here. And if you're going to go through and pick up a device, still something like a Google Pixel 10, it is going to be a significantly better phone, and it's going to be a bigger upgrade than something like a Google Pixel 7. So from that side, that is kind of one of those big things to keep in mind there from that particular perspective. Now, on top of that, another important thing to keep in mind here too, with both of these phones, is they both have USB-C ports on the bottom. They both are giving you standard glass backs on the backside as well. So there isn't really like a massive difference when it comes down to the backside of both of these, because they're both going to be giving you basically relatively the same type of experience, right? So I feel like that right there is a really cool thing to keep in mind here. But I would probably tell you for the most part as well, that if you're going to take a look at both these types of phones, the triple camera setup on the back of the Pixel 10, the 120 Hz, 3000 nits of brightness, the Pixel 10 definitely feels and looks like a way better performing device than something like the Google Pixel 7. So from that side too, that kind of covers it up there for the most part. Now, on top of that, another very important thing to keep in mind here too is basically when it comes down to their price tags. The Pixel 7 is like $190 right now, where the Pixel 10 is $800. So that right there is also going to be another really big difference. Because if you are wanting the phone that is going to be giving you a better type of experience there, then definitely something like a Pixel 10 might be giving you a better experience, at least from a flagship standpoint. But the Pixel 7 is going to be better when it kind of comes down to that price standpoint. In terms of cameras, the Pixel 7 is going to be giving you a dual camera setup on the backside, where the Pixel 10 is going to be giving you a triple camera setup. So this right there is also going to be another big difference. Because if you're trying to go through and get the phone that is going to be giving you an overall better experience here, especially from a camera standpoint, the Pixel 10 is definitely going to be a really good phone from that perspective. The Pixel 10 here is going to be giving you a pretty solid experience when it kind of comes down to its capability with its camera. They're both giving you 4K at 60 on the front and the back, but the really cool thing about the Pixel 10 is that that type of device is basically going to be able to go through, and it is going to be able to give you a little bit of a better type of experience when it kind of comes down to the camera quality and the image quality. If you are wanting the phone that is going to be giving you just a better, more solid experience from that perspective, then definitely something like the Pixel 10 is probably going to be the better one from this perspective as well. But I would still say the Pixel 7's camera is still like good enough, and I would say for a lot of people you can still get like some really good photos and videos from it, but I would take a look at something like a Google Pixel 7 as probably not being as good of a camera as something like the Pixel 10. So from that side as well, I think that kind of covers it up there. When it comes down to software longevity, this is also going to be another big thing to keep in mind here. If you are wanting the phone that is going to be lasting for a longer period of time, then something like the Google Pixel 10, it's going to be lasting for a significantly longer period of time than something like a Google Pixel 10. The Pixel 10, like I said, is still going to be good. It's still going to be here for quite some time. But if you are wanting the phone that is going to be supported for a longer period of time here, it is going to be the Pixel 10. And when it comes down to the battery life and the size of these batteries, the Pixel 7 was basically giving you a 4,355 milliamp-hour battery, where the Google Pixel 10 is giving you a 4,970 milliamp-hour battery. So this right there is also going to be another one of those big differences here, because if you are wanting the phone that is going to be giving you just a better experience, the Pixel 10 has a very high likelihood of still giving you and maintaining a pretty good experience when it comes down to that battery life department, and it's going to be giving you an overall better experience as far as we can tell than something like the Pixel 7. So once again, if you are wanting the overall better experience from this particular side as well, you will probably have to look at something like the Pixel 10 as probably giving you the way better experience from this particular side than the Google Pixel 7. And finally, when it comes down to the performance, the Pixel 10 is basically going to be giving you, what is it? It's like the Tensor G5 chipset inside with 12 gigabytes of RAM. With the Google Pixel 7, it's going to be giving you the Tensor G2 chipset inside with 8 gigabytes of RAM. So this right there is also going to be another massive difference, because if you're trying to go through and get the device that is going to be giving you an overall better experience from a performance perspective, the Google Pixel 10 is definitely going to be significantly faster than the Pixel 7. You're getting more RAM and you're getting more capability with that chipset. So it really just kind of comes down to it. But if I'm about to go through and pick up a device, I definitely want to go through and pick up a phone and pick up a type of device in general that's going to be giving me an overall better, faster type of phone. And with something like the Google Pixel 10, there's a very high likelihood that type of device is going to be the faster one for the most part than something like the Google Pixel 7. So to kind of sum up this whole entire video, what I can definitely tell you is that the Google Pixel 10, I think, is still a pretty it's a better phone in every single way than the Pixel 7, right? The Pixel 7 is a cheaper phone, and from a value per dollar standpoint, that one could be better in some ways, but the Pixel 10 is a really, really good phone, and it's a significantly faster, more capable, more powerful phone than the Pixel 7. But with that being said, I do think the Google Pixel 7 is still in this kind of situation where I think it's like still a decent phone to pick up, but I would still say the Galaxy S25 or even an iPhone 16 Pro, those phones are probably better than these ones. But, the Galaxy S25 I think is a worthwhile competitor, and I think I would rather buy something like a Galaxy S25 in my personal opinion than something like either a Pixel 10 or especially a Pixel 7. But that's kind of how I feel about these particular devices. If you have any other thoughts or questions, please let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.